can I just say something quickly before we start this Let's Play? I really like the actual loading screen right there, where basically Gon is having his nap, and then Yen's head just managed to able to show up somehow. But anyways, welcome to our next redo Let's Play for our channel.
Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Piglet here from the likes of the Merxy Toys videos, and ladies and gentlemen, we are presenting you our brand new redo Let's Play for our channel, and we are actually going back into the Super Monkey Ball of all things, but this time, we're about to be doing a redo Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz for the Nintendo Wii. The reason why we're actually going to be doing a redo Let's Play of this game, because, well, first of all, we did manage to originally done this back in 2015, but it was no longer going to be there for the sake of time, because, in the end of the day, the quality itself is pretty okay as it goes by, but however though, the commentary itself is pretty much in a sound mixing issues, which can be the same applies for Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll, which we'll get to that at some point in 2020. So either way, and hopefully we can able to actually redo the game again, and hopefully the quality itself should be much more better than the forms of how it does it from, let's just say about 4 years ago at this point now, and eventually the commentary itself might be a little bit more well balanced compared to the forms of how it does it from last time. So, and surprisingly enough, is the fact that ever since that Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox One, will eventually able to release not long now actually, until 15 days to go. So I think that's a perfect example about the fact that we can able to do the redo Let's Play of this game. So hopefully by that time, about the fact that the HD version will be releasing at some point. So here's how the actual main cast looks like for Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. If you remember from the GameCube era, especially on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox One Deluxe, and especially noticeable in Touch and Roll for the DS, Junior for Game Boy Advance, and all the other stuff, we got the usual Ai, Mimi, Baby, and Gon. But in addition with those four monkeys managed to able to join into the actual roster, we also get ourselves the two new playable characters that has ever usually makes their first appearance in this game in particular, such as Yen and Doctor, which depends on what monkeys you're going to be using. They actually get themselves a different attributes based on that different status, which I haven't exactly recorded that on the forms of the HD remaster of the game yet, because obviously the actual HD remaster has not exactly released just yet though, because either way, I said this before, we've only got about 15 days to go until when that time comes. So, and for this particular Let's Play, it's going to be most likely focusing on the main game itself, and as far as party games goes, we probably should skip those, because the majority of the time didn't exactly play well enough, because thanks to the forms of the actual Wii Remote's motion controls comes into play, and we probably should able to actually pass on it. So either way, let us begin. Let's go ahead and select Ai for the first video of this Let's Play, and yeah, as you can see, normally you start things off with World 1, and then as soon as you progress through each world, then you are able to actually continue your world progression, such as like, you start things off like, specifically World 1, but you get like 8 worlds to able to actually just unlock from. But in addition with 8 different worlds, there's also 2 secret worlds that you can able to actually access to by able to actually going through, I'll explain more on that whenever we get to those 2, but for now on though, let's start from the very beginning by going through World 1, and then eventually we'll go through World 2, 3, and onwards until at the very end of World 10, which appears to be the final world in the whole game. By the time about the fact that we're going through each world, I'm also going to be switching over between those different monkeys in each video. So even then, let's get to it with World 1, such as Monkey Island. And as you can see, you have 2 different options, but for me, I'm going to be playing from the very beginning. So let's get this thing straight, and before you get this thing started, this is how the actual controls worked out in this game, which basically, you have to use just the Wii Remote on its own. So you can able to actually twist your Wii Remote to able to roll your monkey, and roll your monkey forward or backwards or what have you, and left or right. And it's also the only Monkey Ball game to able to feature a jump ability, which we'll point things out whenever we're able to actually get this main game started. But for now, let's get started with Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. So the actual main story of this game though is that if you couldn't tell, the rest of the monkeys all gathered up and they somehow managed to able to got themselves a golden bunch of bananas apparently. Which either way, what happens is though is the fact that they just somehow managed to come across into a Dastra's villain of all time, which appears to be by the forms of, well, we don't know exactly what that particular villain was going to be known as, but until whenever we get to the future worlds, then I'll point things out what the actual names of any single villains that we actually come across. So either way, excuse me, as you can see, we actually come across into 8 stages, and as far as you can see on these 2 icons on the far right, well, we'll probably point things out whenever we get to it. So either way, let's jump onto the first ever level in the forms of Monkey Island, in this case, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. So let's get this thing to it. So, yeah, if you ever played any other Monkey Ball game before, specifically from the past few generations, ever since the Nintendo GameCube or the arcade machine back in 2001, you do know exactly how this will play out. Basically, you're going to be controlling your monkey in your ball, and then the actual main objective in this entire series at this point is the fact that you need to guide your monkey in the ball to the goal. And along the way, you can actually able to actually collect some of these bananas along the way. And then in this particular game in general, especially in the HD remaster of this game, especially in Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll, is the fact that this might be the only 2 of those games that you can able to collect 20 bananas that gives you an extra life compared to 10 on the forms of Touch and Roll. In fact, let me know in the comments below about the fact that I would like to able to tackle through Touch and Roll at some point, because I'll be doing that for quite a while, but either way though, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. So, and yeah, as I mentioned this before, this is the only Super Monkey Ball game to be able to feature a jump button, which by doing so, you can either flick the Wiimote upwards while holding down the B button, which I really recommend you not do that, but the best alternative way to able to jump in the game is of course the A button, which depends on the actual level layout such as this one. You can't normally just try to able to actually just run straight ahead because the actual height of it is a little bit high. But thanks to the forms of the jump feature in this game, this means you can able to actually hop onto platform to platform as much as you please. So, some of these monkeys, as I said before, manage to have themselves a different status, depends on what monkeys you're going to be using, which I'll point that out during at some point in the future. So, after when you complete about 4 of those levels each in each world, you actually come across into the forms of these bonus stages, which they are back in full force ever since the very beginning, but you know, they behave exactly like how it did in the previous game. So either way, all you need to do is basically you have to collect all of the bananas until the actual stage ends. So, nothing particularly that remarkably new about it, it's just, you know, practically the same stuff as you already know and love. Well, the only time exception is of course Super Monkey Ball Adventure, because they somehow managed to remove the actual bonus features and all that stuff, which is a little bit disappointing, but it's just how convenient that is. So, I think simply to say is the fact that this might actually be the 7th entry in the series with the forms of the Super Monkey Ball games and all that stuff. Well, at least if you really don't want to count the actual N-Gage version of Super Monkey Ball, which is just basically Super Monkey Ball Jr., but on the actual different device and all that stuff, which I'm probably not going to count that because, well, you know exactly how I'm going to compare that. So, anywho though, as far as I'm aware, with the forms of this game in particular, yeah, I sort of managed able to get this game back in 2007, because I was able to originally get this back in 2006, when, I think this appears to be some sort of like a Wii launch title of any sort, even though I haven't really, looked on depth into it, because either way, I was a little bit young at first back in 2006, because I was more grown up with, the GameCube, N64, a Game Boy Advance, and even the most recently Nintendo DS. But it wasn't until in 2007 that we finally got a chance to get our hands on the Nintendo Wii, and one of those games I'm really looking forward to is this game. And for what I've played back in the day, that is, I actually do somewhat enjoyed it, even though it might take a while to get used to at first glance, because, well, as I mentioned before, that this is the only Super Monkey Ball game to be able to feature a jump feature, because until Step and Roll and beyond, they somehow managed to go back into its original days. So, because you know, with any single Monkey Ball game, does not allow you to able to jump through between levels and all that stuff. But the only game exception is, of course, Banana Blitz / Banana Blitz HD. So either way, though, things can get a little bit more of a difference anyway, though. So yeah, for the first world for Monkey Island, it's basically a very simple, easy world throughout this game, because you can able to get used to how the main mechanics of the game looks like, especially with the actual jump feature involved. However though, as far as the actual process of this Let's Play goes, we'll go through each world per video, because, well, I just feel like doing that. So yeah, the first world is very simple, and for some reason, the actual goal in this is basically you have to go through the actual rings, so but anyway, when we're done with that, well, we're gonna start the next scene. So yeah, in addition to able to having a jump feature in this game, we also come across into boss fights. So either way, by the end of each world, the only exception is the 2 secret worlds, we actually come across into boss fights every time whenever we complete the majority of the levels in each world. Such as, like, the first boss we have is Toy the Bird, which this particular boss is very simple, because as you can see, he does have his weak spots. So in order to actually deal the damage on this boss is that you have to attack his head. Then the more you do it, then the actual boss gauge will able to decrease. So that's the entire portion of this boss fight in particular, so even then there is nothing else to this guy. But the only thing you need to be very careful of is, of course, his attacks, which for some reason he always loves to prefer his wings a lot more than his beak, which I'm not exactly sure why that's been happened, so I guess that makes it pretty obvious for that point. So, oh man, he's doing it again. Gee, no wonder why he's completely ignoring the actual beak attack at all at once. But anyway though, once you do enough hits on him, then the first boss has been defeated. And also, that pretty much wraps up with the first world in Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. So, and every time you're able to complete one of the worlds, you receive the actual golden pieces of the golden bananas. So, and the ultimate goal in this is the fact that I believe there are about 8 worlds if you master the first time playing the game. So in this case, we need to collect about roughly 8 of those golden bananas to complete the game. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the majority of this Let's Play. So yeah, and after when you're done with each world, it takes you to the staff credits, which I'm probably not going to show off just yet though, because I'm going to save that for later. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz. It's the fact that we're going to be moving on to this second world of the game, which appears to be Drum Ball Jungle. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.